Hello everyone, my name is Jim Kramer and welcome to Mad Money. Today's segment, GDP. What is GDP? What is real GDP? What is nominal GDP? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. GDP is AD. What is AD? It's consumer spending. Consumers going out and buying goods and services like a chair. Investment spending. Businesses putting money back into their businesses through capital to create a better economy. Third, government spending. Government spending, easy. Military spending, all that stuff. Finally, net exports. What are net exports? It's the money that you get from selling your goods and services to foreign countries and the money you give away by buying goods from foreign countries. Finally, we're going to talk about how America's GDP is awful. Why? Net exports. You see, America has a $40 billion trade deficit. That's horrible. Do you know what that is? That is a deflating GDP. So, what we're going to do today is we're going to bring in local economics teacher Anthony Ammirata to teach you about some basic economic concepts involving GDP.
Hi Jim, I'm Anthony Ammirata. I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about why the economy is so bad exactly. Now, consumer spending is down because there's a lack of consumer confidence in the economy. GDP itself is not an accurate way to measure how wealthy a nation is, but GDP per capita is. GDP per capita is the GDP divided by the population. So, shut up, Azim! Alright, so overall, GDP capita in America is decreasing, as due to an increase in population, along with a decrease in jobs. This is getting out of control, alright? We need to get back to you, Jim.
Alright, thanks Anthony. We appreciate that, man. I hope you have a great lacrosse season. I mean, I heard you guys did great, but keep it going. But back to GDP now. So, now we're going to talk about how GDP is a measure of economic growth. You see, economic growth is one of the three main goals of an economy. And that's what a government has to be a part of, and that's how GDP is a measure of economic growth. You see, certain ways you can create economic growth are through jobs, lowering prices, things like that. But we're going to talk about how America's GDP is not increasing. See, America's GDP has increased by about 0.2% in the past year. That's ridiculous. Considering the price increase, we might as well be going backwards. So, now that we say that, let's take a look at some graphs about how America's GDP has developed over the past 10 years. Okay, so here is the annual U.S. GDP growth. We're going to go from base year 1947, so that's where we're starting. I mean, there's not a lot there. But going all the way to about 2010. So as you can see in the graph, there's a lot of hikes, there's a lot of dips, and there's been from about 52 to 72, there was a pretty slow incline, but they got all the way up to about 5.5%, and then slowly made their way down back to right after 82, where they were back at 2% growth, and then it's kind of been in between from there, and then really gone down from about 2004 on. I mean, we're all the way down to 1.51, maybe even less growth yearly. So, I forgot the answer. Okay, so as you can see, this is what America's GDP has really done in the past 10 years. It's really just tanked. Just the way it's been run, it's just been awful. But back to GDP and the topics we're really talking about. We're going to go back to real GDP and nominal GDP and inflation. You see, GDP takes into account inflation, which is why it's such a good measure. We're going to talk about the ways they do it. First off, market baskets. Market baskets are just a general cluster of goods commonly purchased by consumers year to year that really the amount doesn't change, but inflation can change the prices. Okay, so now we're going to look at how these market baskets are used in measuring inflation to calculate real GDP. So, how? I'll tell you. Price indexes. Most importantly, consumer price indexes. These market baskets are used to measure how goods change in price. Let's look at this. A consumer price index. Let's say base year 1990. Consumer price index 100. Next year 2000. We'll do that. Prices go up, consumer price index goes up. Say it goes up to 120. Then you could subtract 120 minus 100 over the original, and that's how you get the percent change in inflation. So basically, we're going to go back to Anthony here, and he's going to tell us about how you can calculate GDP.
Alright, thanks Jim. There are two main ways to calculate GDP overall. The first is the expenditures approach. This is the adding up of all the dollars spent on final goods and services in an economy. The second is the income approach. This is the adding up of all of the income that resulted from selling the final goods in the economy.
Alright, well, that's all we have for you on GDP today. Like we said, remember, real, nominal, inflation, market baskets, all ways to measure GDP. GDP, measure of standard of living, measure of economic growth. Just a great tool for economists. So, I mean, like I said, we're just going to close up the show. Do we have any last comments? Again, I want to thank Mr. Ammirata for being with us here today. Great influence.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me, Jim. I'm really looking forward to the Celtics winning the 2013 NBA championship.
Anthony, I'm sorry to inform you of this, but the Celtics were eliminated already. It's currently between the Heat and the Spurs.
Oh, well, hey, go Cardinal lacrosse.
Well, I'm sorry, Anthony. They're done, too. They also didn't go as far in the state tournament as the baseball team.
Well, hold on there, hold on.
No, well, actually, that concludes our segment of Mad Money, GDP. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.